Hi Dare to Be Artsy fans, Michelle Houghton here with a video today. I'm going to be using this adorable set with a llama and some birthday greetings, and I love the saying, "I miss you so much I could spit." I've used that one a few times already. So I've got him stamped and the cactus, and I'm not going to use it as is. This originally was going to be a card front, but I saw a card on Instagram and I thought I am definitely going to give this a try. So I've got my window cut out of a standard card front size, and I did that with the wavy square die cut. And then I have a piece of plastic that fits behind that window and a card base, and of course a stack of Copic markers ready to go. And I just have some mixes of sequins and beads that I know I'm going to use inside the card. So I am going to start with the llama, and I'm going to color him up. I'm using an E70 and an E71 on him. I'm starting with the E70, and I use these little tiny short flicks, and I'm flicking out toward the outer edge. So they're probably 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch long, and I'm going to close up here in just a second so you can see those better. If you don't know who I am, sorry, I am Michelle Houghton. I work online on Copic in the Craft Room, and my blog is www.scrapweaver.com. And so if you're interested to see more Copic stuff specifically, you can check me out over there as well. That's where I'm at when I'm not over here at Dare to Be Artsy. So I'm going to speed this up and zoom in so now you can see those little tiny short flicks a little bit better. Now, originally I figured only the top half of the llama was going to be on the card, so that's why I've stopped and not gone down the other legs. You're going to see toward the end of the video that I needed to actually come back and do more. So I'm using that E71 now, and I'm just going to use fewer flicks of that color and hit some of those areas that could be darker, and I come back up under the base of the head. For the ears, I wanted to really keep it light on the interior, so I started with my colorless blender and then use YR02, and then come back again with the colorless blender to lighten it even further. YR02 and 04 are what are going on the blanket, and I appreciate this is super fast. There's actually a way on YouTube that you can slow it down, and that works just fine. Y32 and Y35 are on the other portions of the blanket. Part of this that I'm speeding this up is because really I wanted to show you how to create the card and not just the coloring. I'll do some other tutorials where I slow down the coloring a little bit so you can see more the detail of the coloring with the Copic markers if you're interested. V12 and then V04 and V06 are going to kind of finish out that blanket. So I've got these bright violets and yellow reds or oranges and yellows on that blanket. So I tried to stick with that same color grouping when I did my sequin selection. So you'll kind of see a couple groups go in that match those. Then the little cactus is the other piece I'm coloring up, and I've got G82, so a green 82, and then G85 that I'm using. Now the cactus has these fun little doodles on it, so I shade it with the two greens, but then I come back in with a Y32 and kind of go over that band, and Y35, and I go in kind of every other triangle, and I'm really just trying to highlight those doodles because it's not like a realistic, we're breaking it down with that pattern. Then I'm going to fussy cut, and again I'm keeping this really fast because you don't need to necessarily see me fussy cutting these out. Now I do cut off the spines of the little cactus because I'm doing something specific with it. It's going to become my piñata hanging in the card, so I just need the actual cactus. So I trim that down, and then I'm a little more careful on my llama because I still want all of his little fuzzies furry edge to look furry, so I'm working my way around him. If you are not a fussy cutter, a couple tips: keep those scissors pointed away from you and use your opposite hand to move the paper through the scissors. Kind of keep the scissors moving the entire time, so kind of closing down slightly on those, and just again keeping the card moving with that other hand. Chop off big pieces as you go so you're not fighting that with your other hand. And then I'm going to start assembling this card. So I'm just using a double-sided adhesive to attach the plastic into the back of that die cut window. And then I'm going to use some foam tape. And I found this foam tape that comes in these little tiny narrow strips. It's pretty thin, so I'm going to have to use a double layer of that, but this is going to give me the start of kind of that raised window. I like the fact that it's in little strips, so if I do have something that I need the tape right against the edge, I can do that. But for right now, this is going to work. You're going to see I'm going to make a huge mess with the foam tape here in just about a second. So there I've got some purples, and then I've got some kind of oranges and golds coming in next. Those were two mixes that I kind of put together just with some random sequins and beads. And then I'm doing a bunch more foam tape because this whole piece is going to be raised up off of the card front. So I tend to use all the filler left behind when I've got foam dots, and so that's what you're seeing. It's all the in-between pieces. And then I realized the corners of the card probably need a little extra support. So again, I'm just adding all these little pieces. The cactus is actually going to swing inside the window. So I'm attaching a piece of twine, and then it's going to go down. Have to take the paper off there. It's going to attach down, and then I realized because that other foam tape is so thin, my little strips are so thin, and the other pieces I was using are literally about the double the thickness. So I went back with my foam tape and added, and of course realizing along the way that I haven't taken paper parts off. I'm a mess when I make cards, and I apologize for that. If you've watched some of my videos where I actually make a card, you'll see a lot of this back and forth. So second layer of foam strips going down, and then I'm going to attach that card base right over the top of that. So that's going to close up that window and kind of enclose not only the sequins, but this time this little cactus piñata. So that string is still sticking out. I'll trim that down in a second. Yep. And but it's in between the two foam strips, the two narrow foam strips. And then I added just a touch of glue to strengthen that connection. Then I go ahead and attach the card base. So there's and see, we've got it swinging inside there. And then I realized that the llama is going to fit all the way on the card. So I go ahead and finish up with my E70 and E71, add the fur and fill in his little feet, darken up those back legs, bottom and back edge of the feet, under the rug or under his blanket with the E71. Go ahead and trim that bottom edge out. Fussy cutting, kind of working my way around those edges. And then I decide that he probably needs at least a little bit of a shadow to stand on. So before gluing him down, I add a little bit of E70 and E71 on my card base, just so he's not floating midair, especially since he's lighter in color and the card base is white. Use a little bit of colorless blender just to soften the edges. And then I used a liquid glue to glue him down, just to attach him well to the front. And then he gets to stand right in front of his swinging piñata and confetti window. Thank you so much for joining me this week at Dare to Be Artsy. I will be back probably in 2 to 3 weeks with another video. If you haven't had a chance yet, make sure to like the Dare to Be Artsy channel. That way you get a notice when we have a new video in our video channel. Thanks so much for watching, and from all of us here, we dare you this week to be artsy.